The geography of tourism is an interdisciplinary approach to tourism that uses the tools and concepts of geography to understand the spatial patterns and processes of tourism. Geographers are interested in the location of tourist destinations, the movements of tourists, and the impacts of tourism on the environment, society, and culture. Some of the key concepts that geographers use to study tourism include spatial patterns. Geographers are interested in the spatial patterns of tourism, such as the distribution of tourist destinations, the flows of tourists between destinations, and the clustering of tourism activities in certain places. Environmental impacts. Geographers are also interested in the environmental impacts of tourism, such as the impact of tourism on the natural environment, the impact of tourism on the built environment, and the impact of tourism on the carrying capacity of destinations. Social impacts. Geographers are also interested in the social impacts of tourism, such as the impact of tourism on local cultures, the impact of tourism on local economies, and the impact of tourism on social inequality. Cultural impacts. Geographers are also interested in the cultural impacts of tourism, such as the impact of tourism on local heritage, the impact of tourism on local identity, and the impact of tourism on cultural exchange. The geography of tourism is a valuable interdisciplinary approach to tourism because it provides a holistic understanding of the complex phenomenon of tourism. By using the tools and concepts of geography, geographers can gain insights into the spatial patterns, environmental impacts, social impacts, and cultural impacts of tourism. This information can be used to develop more sustainable and equitable tourism practices. Here are some of the concepts related to geography of tourism that you mentioned. Latitude and longitude. Latitude and longitude are two geographic coordinates that are used to determine the location of a place on Earth. Latitude is the measure of how far north or south a place is from the equator, while longitude is the measure of how far east or west a place is from the prime meridian. International date line. The International date line is an imaginary line that runs through the Pacific Ocean. It is used to determine the date in different parts of the world. Places west of the International date line are 1 day ahead of places east of the line. Time zones. Time zones are areas of the globe that have the same standard time. Time zones are used to coordinate activities and to avoid confusion about what time it is in different parts of the world. GMT variation. GMT variation is the difference between Greenwich Mean Time, GMT, and the local time in a particular place. GMT is the time at the Royal Observatory in Greenwich, England, and it is used as the basis for most time zones in the world. Elements of weather and climate. Weather is the state of the atmosphere at a particular place and time. It includes factors such as temperature, precipitation, humidity, and wind. Climate is the average weather conditions in a particular place over a long period of time. Climatic regions of the world. The world is divided into different climatic regions based on the average weather conditions in those regions. Some of the major climatic regions of the world include tropical, subtropical, temperate, and polar. Impact of weather and climate on tourist and destination. The weather and climate can have a significant impact on tourism. For example, tourists may be more likely to visit a destination during the warm summer months than during the cold winter months. The weather and climate can also affect the types of activities that tourists can do at a destination. For example, tourists may not be able to go skiing if it is too warm. Map reading and practical. Popular international tourism destination map reading is an important skill for tourists. It allows tourists to find their way around a destination and to plan their itineraries. There are many different types of maps that can be used for tourism, including road maps, tourist maps, and topographic maps. Exploring the geography of tourism. Have you ever wondered what makes certain places popular tourist destinations? Or how tourism impacts local cultures and environments? In this presentation, we'll dive into the interdisciplinary field of geography of tourism to explore these questions and more. Spatial patterns of tourism. Tourism is not evenly distributed around the world. So what makes some places more popular than others? Geographers use spatial analysis to understand the patterns of tourism, from the clustering of activities in certain places to the flows of tourists between destinations. Overcrowding. In popular destinations like Venice and Barcelona, overcrowding can negatively impact the local quality of life and environment. Economic development. Tourism can be a significant source of income for local economies, particularly in developing countries. Cultural preservation. Tourism can help preserve local cultures and traditions by supporting cultural initiatives and heritage sites. Sustainability. Striking a balance between economic development and environmental protection is key to creating sustainable and responsible tourism practices. Environmental impacts of tourism. The natural and built environments are often impacted by tourism. Coastal tourism can lead to pollution and erosion, while mountain tourism can lead to overcrowding and habitat destruction. Understanding the environmental impacts is crucial for developing sustainable practices. Ecotourism. This type of tourism is designed to minimize negative impacts on the environment while promoting conservation and environmental awareness. Green energy. Some hotels and tourism operators are adopting green energy practices to reduce their carbon footprint and protect the environment. Sustainable waste management. Tourists generate a lot of waste, but innovative waste management practices like recycling and composting can help minimize the environmental impact. Social impacts of tourism. Tourism can have significant social impacts on local communities and economies. It can contribute to the economy, but it can also create tensions and inequalities between locals and tourists. Geographers study these impacts to help create more sustainable and equitable tourism practices. Cultural exchange. Tourists can learn about and appreciate local cultures through interactions with locals, cultural events, and performances. Social inequality. Tourism can exacerbate social inequalities if it creates a divide between wealthy tourists and poor locals. Community empowerment. If tourism is managed well, it can empower local communities to be more involved in decisions that affect their lives and livelihoods. Cultural impacts of tourism. Tourism can have both positive and negative cultural impacts on local communities. It can promote cultural exchange and heritage preservation, but it can also lead to cultural commodification and a loss of local identity. Cultural preservation. Tourism can provide financial support for local cultural heritage sites and traditions that may have otherwise been lost. Cultural commodification. Tourism can turn cultural traditions into a commodity, leading to the loss of authenticity and the exploitation of local culture. Cultural exchange. Tourists can learn about and appreciate local cultures through interactions with locals, cultural events, and performances. Local identity. Tourism can change the local identity of a place, leading to a loss of cultural heritage and traditional ways of life. Latitude, longitude, and more. Geography of tourism involves much more than just understanding the patterns of tourism. It involves understanding the physical and cultural world around us. Here are some of the key concepts. Latitude and longitude. International date line. Time zones. GMT variation. Elements of weather and climate. Climatic regions of the world. Latitude, longitude, and more. Geography of tourism involves much more than just understanding the patterns of tourism. It involves understanding the physical and cultural world around us. Here are some of the key concepts. Latitude and longitude. International date line. Time zones. GMT variation. Elements of weather and climate. Climatic regions of the world. Impacts of weather and climate on tourism. The weather and climate can have a significant impact on tourism. For example, tourists may be more likely to visit a beach destination during the warm summer months than during the cold winter months. Understanding the impacts of weather and climate is crucial for creating sustainable and successful tourism practices. Winter tourism. Some destinations rely on winter tourism for their economies. However, the sustainability of this type of tourism is in question as climate change affects snowfall patterns. Hot climate tourism. Destinations with hot climates like deserts are popular among tourists seeking warmth and unique experiences. However, hot climates can also present significant health risks. Temperate climate tourism. Many tourists seek out destinations with mild, comfortable temperatures for outdoor activities like hiking. Map reading and popular destinations. Knowing how to read a map is an important skill for any tourist. Maps help us navigate and plan our trips. Here are some popular international tourist destinations to include in your travel itinerary. Paris, France. New York City, USA. Machu Picchu, Peru. London, England. Tokyo, Japan. Barcelona, Spain. Final thoughts. The geography of tourism is a valuable interdisciplinary field.